you will recall that Keir Starmer has had an absolutely terrible couple of weeks politically. So he will be seeing this visit as a welcome distraction. That's actually almost amusing, because once upon a time it was thought that there was a bit of jeopardy from Donald Trump arriving. He's very unpopular with the public. There will be lots of protests. But as you say, there are some nice big deals being unveiled, particularly on tech, AI in particular, on nuclear. And he's hoping, A, that there's some substance there, that it will bring a welcome boost to the economy, and B, that we'll all stop talking about his other problems.
Well, yes, maybe we'll do that. What about some of the, so the headlines that the administration in the UK will like are the ones about investment by US tech companies. They'll be less keen on the fact that lots of media, including Bloomberg, now reporting around the steel tariffs, that the UK has decided not to push on that particular open wound and try and get a better deal on steel. Maybe not forever, but certainly not during this visit, at least. Does that mean all the difficult stuff is not going to get addressed?
Well, you never know with Donald Trump. So there was heavy briefing overnight that the talks had collapsed, that Britain's hopes to reduce steel tariffs to zero hadn't really worked because the Americans had introduced a quota, and the quota for the 0% tariff portion of the steel trade was so small that it kind of wasn't worth it. So we were going to stick to the 25% tariff, which is better than, as you know, the rest of the world has at 50%. So the briefing was, that's that. We've kind of given up for now. And then Donald Trump said, well, I'm hoping to do them a favor. I like Britain. So, perhaps if Prince Charles or King Charles now jumps in the plane and flies him around, who knows what Donald Trump could say. That's one of the good as well as the bad things about having a very mercurial president who seems to just sort of make policy on the hoof.
Well, and for that reason, I suppose the pitfalls are many and varied for Keir Starmer during these next couple of days, and for the UK, I suppose, more broadly. Where do you think the biggest risk lies that things could go wrong during this visit?
Yeah, you're right. So it's a funny kind of visit, because although Donald Trump is here on UK soil, most Brits will not be seeing him. He is not coming to Parliament. He will not be seen on a sort of carriage ride through London. He has been kept well away from the crowds, well away from those protests at first Windsor Castle and then the Prime Minister's residence of Chequers. I think that the moment of real peril could come during the press conferences. Donald Trump will not want to talk about his associations with Jeffrey Epstein, the disgraced financier who was prosecuted and then killed himself in prison over sex trafficking and abuse of women and girls. But that is the big topic here in the UK politically, because Keir Starmer has just had to sack his US ambassador, Peter Mandelson, over his own links. So I think Donald Trump won't want to hear about that, but I think he probably will, because the press will be asking him.
I suppose another thing he might be asked about that could be awkward if he's standing next to the Prime Minister might be his views on Nigel Farage and the Reform Party, or maybe he wants to echo Elon Musk's support over the weekend for some of the activities of Tommy Robinson. That's another area that the Prime Minister will want to move on quickly.
Yeah, the MAGA world has a view of the UK as not having free speech. That's something that Donald Trump has spoken about. Obviously, Elon Musk was beamed live into a far-right rally in London last weekend. So that's an area of disagreement. I also think foreign policy may be something that is a moment of tension for them. Keir Starmer has talked about recognising the state of Palestine, which Donald Trump won't want. And also Keir Starmer will want to be pushing Trump on Ukraine and giving further support to Ukraine, and not sort of going down the path that is feared by many in the West of an association with Vladimir Putin, perhaps pushing him on sanctions and holding his feet to the fire on his threats to increase sanctions on Putin.